Yay. Okay, so now we're recording it. If you don't want your picture up on there, you're welcome to just close that part of turn your camera off. I've got a feeling that only I'm going to show up on the shared bit anyway. What we're talking about today is looking at where we've been in order to work out where we're heading. I don't know whether, Nambi, do you have a clear idea of where you're wanting to go after this, like in steps?
Not clear, but a general idea, yes.
Oh, that's good. And Prep Skills has that awesome module about learning, just getting ideas about where you're heading with your program.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of our personal life and the impact it has on us as students, we've got to look at some of our past history. And I think for all of us, we've got some past history stuff that mightn't be as positive as we'd like it to be. I had one student here in my maths class, I used to be an internal teacher, who was told it's a good thing you're pretty because you're as dumb as hell. And that followed her all the way through school. Yep. So negative viewpoint, no positives when she was looking back. And with a lot of work and a lot of patience and seriously a lot of TLC, I went through a lot of tissues sitting with her. She's now a first-year sonography student. So not only did she get over that I'm as dumb as hell, she actually excelled because, as we know, sonography is one of the quota-based units. And so she had to have a good high GPA for it. So that's where the importance of looking back and going, I can move away from that negative stuff. I can move forward into the positive side of the world. Because those past experiences shape the way you behave now. And the way you behave now, you need to go, no, I'm not that person that was in the past. I can move forward and make it shape my future into a better shape. Everyone you come in contact with, I believe, leaves fingerprints on your soul. Positive. Some of those fingerprints might be bruises. And they shape our belief system in us and our viewpoint of the world. And that can be family, friends, teachers, co-workers. There's a lot of people who talk about teachers they've had in the past who have really made them feel negative. And I think the old school form of teaching was very much that way inclined, whereas nowadays teachers are more supportive, they're more aware of the impact they have long term. I'm sure if you really look back, you had teachers that impacted on you really positively or really negatively. The ones who did positively are the ones who've helped drive you forward. The negative might be the ones holding you back. So although we don't want to look at our past as much, it is important that we do that. Just go, no, that's not right. That's not the way life is. So those past experiences may have moulded your belief system. Some of us, we get a lot of students from domestic violence backgrounds where they've experienced humiliation, bullying, discipline, failure, sense of inability to achieve. But you also might have really good memories of friends and experiences and times of high achievement. And that part of the stuff with the personal notation, it's what you bring to the table, not what you take from it, that matters most for your well-being. We have the personal notation section. Listen, why look to the past? It's only real in our memories, and our memories can distort things because emotion, the stronger the emotion connected with an event, the stronger the memory is for you. So we need to stop looking at those past hurts and maybe match them with something positive that happened and learn to put those negatives behind us. No, that's not me who I am now. It's not who I plan on being. And education of any sort is all towards changing your view of things, making you look at things from a different way. And that's what we try and do in this unit. Bitterness can permeate your life. I liken it to a really bad cup of coffee. You get really good coffee, you get burnt stuff, which kind of puts you off getting another cup. I am a coffee drinker. Okay. remove those negative feelings. The only real is our memories. And I've said stop dwelling on them. It's a case of moving forward and looking at techniques that we can use to do that. Seligman came up with some really awesome stuff. Ways of forgiving is an invaluable skill. That's that turning around and just going, no, that's not who I am. It's not who they say I am. It's not who they think I am. And focusing what we want to get from our life. We'll just get. And in the personalisation 2B for this week, we ask you to actually do up a sheet with your age, various age brackets, happy experience and maybe sad experiences, and just look how your life has trended if you look at it from that viewpoint. We do ask for some of this to go into your template for your reflective portfolio A. I really need to reiterate the fact that the only person who ever sees it is me. So you can be as honest about what's happened for you in the past, or you can lie like hell, I'm not going to know the difference. Okay, so if it gets a little bit like, ouch, just back away from it and put something else in, or flick me an email saying, look, I really can't do this bit. And I will show some understanding. You might lose half a mark. But I'd rather you were honest and not traumatised than feel you've got to do something that's going against how you're feeling at the time. We all have pasts, we all have things in our past that maybe we don't want to have come up again for us. So any questions? Have you downloaded the template for the Reflective Portfolio A? In there it does say what you need to put into it. If you did prep skills, it's the same sort of thing. A question, put in an answer.
Yeah.
So as you go through each module, if you do it each week, when it comes to submit, all you've got to do is maybe pretty up the writing and make it a little bit more academic-y and put references if you need to. What we mainly look for in these is looking at your ability to look at the stuff we're doing, like this particular one on clarity, which is part of the CHOOSE model, and put it into real life context. We don't want you just to basically cut and paste out of what we've written, because we've written it, we know what's there. We would rather you put it into the context of the questions we're asking. To succeed, specific intent. You guys have decided you're going to come and do steps in order to get into university. You've got your intent. That's why you're here. A clear vision. Your vision is start an undergraduate degree, whether you're really clear which one you want to do at the moment. And we've had students who have done the entire suite of STEPS courses or STEPS units and then made a decision about what they want to do. Or maybe just taken, some time off from study. Come up with a plan. Nobody sort of climbed Mount Everest with standing at the bottom and just looking at the top. They actually plotted their way up there. And it's a pretty twisty, windy path, and that's okay. It's actually easier to do that than if you've ever walked up a steep hill, you know that actually walking diagonally in a zigzag pattern is a lot easier than just walking straight up. And you need to maintain that clarity. My suggestion is always to put up a picture of what you want to achieve. You mightn't be clear about what degree you want to do, but you want to graduate. Graduation means a job, which means extra dollars in your account. And for most of it, that's a bit of a driving force, is to actually have some money. So come up with things like that which help you to maintain that focus. Mariboldi says it's 4 pillars of success. It never fails. And that's all about planning and time management. Defining your life purpose. And we're looking at this at the moment in an educational context. Working out what you're wanting to do, how you're going to do it. And you need to get some pleasure out of it. There is no point in doing a degree because somebody else wants you to do it. Studying becomes pointless, it becomes draining, becomes depressing, and you don't do anywhere near as well as you would if it was you're heading for something that excited you. I find this unit is particularly good for anybody, basically anyone who's going to be working with other people in the future, because it's looking at you setting your goals, setting your limits. And in terms of looking at your past, to set those goals and keeping the past behind it. They got you to where you are. Sometimes it's a case, if you hadn't had a really horrible history, you wouldn't be driven to succeed now. My own story is my ex-husband kept telling me, when are you going to quit? You've never finished anything in your life. That was my motivation to succeed. And I sent him a dozen red roses when I got my psych degree to say thank you for being a B, because I probably would have quit if you hadn't. So I use that as my motivation to put my past behind me. Motivation to persevere. This is a whole lot of blah, blah, blah. As I said, I did an awesome PowerPoint, but I can't find it. It hasn't arrived in my Dropbox. Clarity of living is knowing that you matter, putting yourself first occasionally. Do you both have kids? You have families, you have work. Every so often you've got to go, nope, I need this time for me. I need to spend me time. The future. And that's what we're working towards. You're moving towards your future. You're moving towards your end goal, which at the moment might be unclear, but you know that you want to do this to get into uni at some point. So that is why we use this. So sometimes we can't actually see what we want to end up doing. We might have a little bit of an idea crystallizing, but we don't rush you into it. Vision is a function of the heart. I like that quote. I don't know who did it. Trixie hasn't acknowledged it there. So. We mentally create through vision. We think about what we want to do. We have a picture, and then we start actually doing it. And for you guys, it's coming to uni, doing steps, doing this unit, just depending on what you're wanting to do. Do you have a vague sense of personal purpose? Are you thinking and wondering what your purpose is? You ever thought, I was born to do something significant, but I've got no idea what it is yet? And that's what you're working towards. And hopefully part of this unit, you'll start seeing, okay, that's where I'm heading. That is what I was born to do. Some people come in and go, I want to be a nurse. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a psychologist. And others don't have a clue. But through their pathway, they start to develop. Yeah, that's where I'm heading. Nobody was meant to be mundane or mediocre. We all have a reason for being here. I like that. My interest in the future is because I'm going to spend the rest of my life here. I think that's pretty cool. Today's today. Goodness only knows what tomorrow's going to do. What do you guys plan for? Do you plan for your educational future, your financial future? What are your goals? What are those plans you've got going for you? Do you have any ideas?
I'm planning for... It's a challenging question. But can you hear me okay? It keeps on saying that.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I feel like I'm probably planning for future family and just, yeah, wanting to, like, I'm wanting to be a midwife, which is something that I've felt passionate about for a long time, but I haven't, felt sure about going back into the educational system because I had a really hard time in school. Yeah. So I want to do this because it's kind of the next step of loving myself is going back to school and learning more and gaining that confidence. So I guess my goal at the moment is just to get through this.
And it's hard. It's only week 2. You'd be starting to get things sorted about what's in place, what you're doing, how you're going about doing it. So it is a step-by-step process. But you've got a goal. You've got something you're planning to do.
Yeah.
I definitely relate to that idea of like learning to love yourself again, because school wasn't always easy. Like I got diagnosed with anxiety quite young, and learning to deal with that. I went to a private Catholic school whose idea was study 3 hours a day or you're going to fail at life. Basically, did not correspond very well with somebody who already had perfectionism and high self, like critical self thoughts. So I didn't deal with senior very well, and I dropped out after my first term of year 11. So it's been a long ride back, because I've always craved that education, and it's always been important to me with my mum and my grandmother.
Yeah.
But just being back studying is good. I really enjoyed my first 2 terms of SEPs. This term's a little bit daunting, like I said, adjusting to being external, but just trying to persevere. And I love these kinds of subjects. I really enjoyed prep skills in my first term. So education certainly something I'm planning for in my future, because I think that's important.
Yeah. I think everything we learn adds to who we are as a person and gives us a better scope for our future itself. So both of you guys are reiterating what I've said. Things have happened in the past that have driven you maybe away from education for a while, but you're coming back and going, I can do this stuff. My personal history was I never finished grade 10. I got expelled. There wasn't anything like STEPS available when I thought, I should probably adult about now, and I was 27. So I had to do grade 11 and 12 at the local high school. And then I went on to do my 2 psychology degrees. So there was that little hiatus where I hated school, thought I was dumb and would never do anything. But then that determination, and that's what you guys are saying, you now have goals, you now want to succeed. And what's happened in the past is in the past, and you're now moving forward to where you feel you're meant to be. And we don't let dumb people into uni. It's really bad for our reputation. So you're obviously bright to start with. Now it's just enabling you to develop those skills. So when you get into your undergraduate, into your careers, you're going in with confidence. You're going in knowing you can do it. And that's why I love this unit, because it's not totally focused on a hard science or, the maths or essay writing, that technical stuff. This unit is about you. It's about your self-development, your growth, and how you can integrate that into working with other people in your career. So I think it's equally valuable as, maybe I'm just a little bit biased, but I can see it as a way of helping you develop the skills you need in that interpersonal sphere, rather than just the hard technical knowledge that you're going into. Because defining your life purpose is an important thing for you to do, and you both said that. What are we planning for? We're planning for tomorrow. We're planning for our future. We've got kids. You're planning for your children's future. My main demographic here at the Noosa campus used to be single mums in their 30s who had decided kids are at school, it's now time for them. Now they're going to get back into study. So there was that definite plan for the future and determination to succeed. And I so admire that, because I know how hard it can be as a woman to study when you have all those other things that are expected of you in the community. We don't have some kind of a plan. We become victim of life's ebbs and flows, the highs, the lows. And if we're prone to things like depression and anxiety, which are endemic in the population, we get more and more caught up in them. We tend not to do that cognitive change, that I can do this. Just because today's been lousy doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be. Clear plan, you are in charge of you. And that's where I find it's handy to do like a flow chart. There's a little one here, career planning, lifelong progress. But you can do a flow chart. From here it's steps. You're working your way through the steps units. The next one is enrolling in undergrad. The steps you're going to take in that. So as you complete each bit, you can tick it off. Set yourself a reward board. Every assessment you put in, you take half a day off just to do things you want to do. Because we need to reward ourselves. Life is all about pushing ourselves. Every so often we've got to stop and just be grateful that we've got to where we are. Grateful that we got that assessment in. Grateful that it's been marked and we passed. So that's that life planning stuff, and that looked like it was pretty much the end of that, so I'll stop sharing. Hang on a second, no I won't. The reflective portfolio A, let me just make it full screen and let's see if I can make it bigger, because that would be really good if we could read it. Okay, this is what you're expected to do out of this module. There's the Wheel of Life, which we actually give you a template for it on the module on the page. You go in, you do the little test, the Wheel of Life worksheet, you go to the Mind Tools, and you work out where you actually stand on the Wheel of Life, which is there. This one's coloured in. Gives you an opportunity to look at how you're feeling about various things, basically how you're travelling in life. You might come up really well in spirituality, but really low in community. So you've got a strong belief system, but you're really not community engaged. You're not engaging with other people. So it's looking at those, and we suggest you put into your reflective portfolio A, because that's what these are for, what areas you're doing well, why they're going well. Do you have a supportive family? Do you have a church? Are you really involved in the community? Did you win Gold Lotto over the weekend? Which obviously would really make a difference for things like finances and money. So it's looking at where things are going right and the things you can improve upon. It's come up with a plan how you can improve those things. So that's what the Wheel of Life is about. Finding a purpose. Listing your values as part of the module. You'll actually go and you'll do, it goes freaking forever, so I'm warning you. It's a long test where you look at what your values are. You list your first 5 and see how they're evident in your life. Now you might have what's an individual? You might have a belief in family. How is that evident in your life? How would other people see it? They'd see the strong connections with your family that support and things. Meaningless task is actually a template for it, and it's pretty much things like, what's a chore you hate? I hate, detest, and abhor and avoid at all costs. I hate ironing. But one of my values is cleanliness. So if I do the ironing, it helps me to feel cleaner because I'm looking more professional. So it flows on to a whole lot of other areas which all tag into that cleanliness value. So that's what we're looking for there. Future goals, if you've done prep skills, what did you come up with there? You're still looking for that as your long-term goal, or have you changed? If you have changed, you might need to contact your access coordinator and say, look, I've decided I don't want to do a Bachelor of Business, I want to do a Bachelor of Nursing, because you've got to change your program slightly. But that's about you becoming self-aware about where you're heading, what you're doing. And then a bit of reflection. You look at what was significant to you. Has it affected your purpose in life? And what concept was the most valuable? So that's pretty much all from this. I'll stop sharing the screen now and I'll turn off the recording if I can find out how to do it again. Recording is stop.